Novak Djokovic crashes U.S. Open and silences crowd to knock out Taylor Fritz. The Athletic has live coverage of the 2025 U.S. Open. Flushing Meadows, New York. The Novak Djokovic impersonator, who played the first 3 rounds of the U.S. Open on his behalf, has left the grounds. The real one has returned, to do what he has done for the better part of 2 decades, wreck anyone standing in the way of his journey into the final weekend of yet another major. With a close-to-dominant 6-3, 7-5, 3-6, 6-4 win over last year's finalist Taylor Fritz, Djokovic sent a message to the young guns still left in the draw, including the 2 players who have monopolized the Grand Slam titles he once collected like stamps. He is alive, he is kicking, and he is not about to go quietly in his pursuit of a 25th Grand Slam singles title. Waiting for him in the last 4 is Carlos Alcaraz, the 22-year-old wunderkind who deposed Djokovic as the king of Wimbledon in 2023. If he can somehow survive that, there's a good chance he will face Jannik Sinner, Alcaraz's arch-nemesis, at the top of tennis. The hard part starts now. But last week, Djokovic was wandering around Arthur Ashe Stadium looking like he wanted to be anywhere else, miserable about his level of play and gasping for air as he tried to find his wind after 6 weeks without any competition. Tuesday night, he mostly looked like the tennis wrecking machine of old against one of his favorite pigeons. He is now 11-0 against Fritz, twisting the world number 4 around the court and at times making Fritz look like the world number 40. The ball flew off his strings like a slingshot. He slid and stretched and switched directions like he had springs in his shoes. He cranked aces when he needed them and landed second serves on the backs and outsides of the lines. Down a set, Fritz had 2 chances to take a lead early in the second. But each time, Djokovic turned back the clock, finally escaping from trouble with a forehand that shot across the court as if on a wire at the end of a high-octane exchange from the baseline. As soon as it broke the sideline, he stared up at the crowd and waved his hand to make sure it showed appreciation. When the crowd sent back a roar, he took an exaggerated bow. The party was on. Fritz would get another chance 2 games later, but another big serve and an overhead winner snuffed it out. Djokovic has long been relentlessly efficient in the biggest matches on the biggest stages, and through the first set and a half, Fritz earned 9 break points against Djokovic's serve, but converted none. Djokovic earned just 5 but converted 2, getting the edge in the second set off a sloppy forehand from Fritz, whose rally tolerance dropped as his frustration rose, something Djokovic has seen countless times in his career as he tortures opponents into exceeding their limits. As if by remote control, they do it to themselves. Fritz ruminated too on the decisions he made with slight openings, 0-15, 0-30, 15-30, that don't register on the breakpoint record. "I was just converting and playing these points just really poorly," he said in his news conference. When Fritz finally broke through as Djokovic tried to serve out the second set, Fritz gave him the edge right back, double faulting twice and playing his worst game of the night. When the American netted a short backhand on Djokovic's first set point, Djokovic blew 3 kisses to the crowd on the way to his chair, and that was basically that. He has lost a match just once after winning the first 2 sets to Jürgen Meltzer 16 years ago. Now, at 38, Djokovic has landed in his 4th Grand Slam semi-final of the year. He beat a player half his age to open the tournament. Fritz is more than a decade younger than him. And even Alcaraz, the 22-year-old Spanish dynamo with a buzz cut who has played untouchable tennis for 5 matches in New York, has recent memories of the Djokovic fever dream to wipe away. Alcaraz was in the ascendancy against Djokovic in the Australian Open quarterfinals when Djokovic tore his hamstring. Instead of finishing Djokovic off, Alcaraz overthought the situation as Djokovic simplified it, playing the brand of spot-serving, first-strike tennis that he has adopted in his later years, and beat Alcaraz when the match was his to take. Djokovic also beat him in an epic Olympic final last July in Paris, shattering Alcaraz's spirits for months. But to do it, he had to play better tennis than he has played at any time the past 2 years, since he won this tournament in 2023. He also had to hit 2 of the best forehands of his life. The final score? 7-6, 7-6. Djokovic is a year older now, and often looks much older than that. A week ago Sunday, he looked lethargic and slow, and had a nasty blister on his foot. Last Friday, he tweaked his back and looked hobbled. Sunday night, he had a trainer massaging his shoulder and neck and inspecting other body parts, but his feel for the ball was back, and by the end, he was stutter-stepping across the court once more. But for a brief period in the third set Tuesday, when the crowd razzied him and got under his skin, helping Fritz to break his serve and delay the inevitable, he looked every bit here for a fight. At 5-4 in the fourth with Fritz serving, Djokovic lunged and scrambled across and back to keep the American locked down. He shuffled forward and then back before he served to try and grab an advantage. Djokovic was locked in, drawing two quick errors from a suddenly tight Fritz. Fritz held steady for one baseline battle, but wobbled on the next. Djokovic kissed the crucifix around his neck as he went for his towel, then hit the accelerator from third gear on a forehand to bring up 2 match points. Fritz survived one more point on yet another long rally, and then one more, as Djokovic sent a backhand long. Djokovic was hunched in between them as the late-night crowd came alive for the Californian, who just missed escaping with a topspin lob that flew a few inches long when a crunched backhand pass might have done. A point later, he was on the cliff again and slipped off with a double fault. Djokovic was through and dancing on the court. The next 5 days will take one of the great fights of his life, and maybe even 2 of them, but a lot changes in a week in Djokovic's tennis life. Or maybe nothing really changes at all. How Djokovic beat Fritz. Fritz created 13 break points to Djokovic's 9 in his 4-set defeat, but the American put away 2 to Djokovic's 4. Part of that was Fritz's errors in tough moments, but there was no doubting that Djokovic served with the greater variety of the two. Fritz clearly set out to be aggressive and go after the Djokovic serve, and from a points-won perspective, he was successful. The problem was that he wasn't winning the right ones, and on break points he looked uncertain of how to end the point, going for the kill when it wasn't on, and then being too conservative off a slower delivery. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Speech Balloon, share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback inspires us to create even better content. Bell subscribe to TrendStar USA to get the latest USA celebrity news, tennis, volleyball, and all trending updates first. Sparkles, your subscribe, like, and comment are not just support, but a symbol of energy and love for us.